Yeah, so if you're here to learn about how to prevent ankle sprains and learn why it's occurring and what you can do about it, you are in the right place. I want to be addressing why they're happening. A few tests to figure out kind of where you're at with regards to a low, medium, or high risk for reoccurring ankle sprains. We're going to also take a look at your ankle range of motion, okay, and do a test to figure out where that's at and determine, has that been impacted by the ankle sprains in the past? Okay, and then also we may go over a little bit of treatment for ankle sprains, depending on if anybody's is rehabbing from an ankle sprain right now. Most of this workshop will be on prevention, but it kind of carries over into a little bit of treatment as well. All right, and then most importantly, answer any question that you guys have as well. All right. So if you guys can hear me, go ahead and let me know in the comments whether you can or not. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. And then also type in, put in the comments on, how many times or how frequently you sprain your ankle, like a year, or in the past, how many times have you sprained your ankle? It gives me a better idea of, the population I'm talking to, and so I can kind of tailor this workshop to you guys, right? So we're going to be talking about first on why it's happening. Okay? So a lot of times when we have, ankle sprains can happen for a number of reasons. It can be that our proprioception is off. What I mean by that is the sensory or signals from the ankle to the brain aren't where they need to be. Okay? They're not as strong as they should be. And the brain doesn't exactly know where the ankle's at in space. Okay, and when the body doesn't know where the ankle, or the brain doesn't know where the ankle's at, when we go to take a step, sometimes that foot's kind of turned underneath. Right, we lose track of where that foot's at, and then we land on it incorrectly, and then we get ankle sprains. Another way is due to poor balance, okay, or strength. I'm going to touch on the balance first. So if we just don't have good stability of that ankle, our balance can be off. And we can lose our footing and have a sprained ankle that way. Subsequently, we could have decreased strength. All right, so our foot's going to wobble a little bit more. And if our body's or our foot's in a bad position when we go to take a step, and we don't have the proper strength, then it'll tweak more easily. We're not able to recover or sustain that. Okay? And a lot of times when we have recurrent ankle sprains, the ligaments within the ankle joint become loose, okay? And that means that when the ligaments become loose, then the ankle joint's not getting stability from those ligaments anymore. This leads to increased reliance on the muscles to provide the stability. Oh, hey, Kelly, good morning. This leads to the muscles having to provide more support, okay? And so we're going to be going over strengthening today as well. So that's a huge portion of treatment, is actually strengthening it up. However, with a lot of times with ankle sprains, we also have subsequent tightness of the ankle joint. All right, it can be within the bones themselves or the joint. It can also be due to the muscles surrounding the ankle joint as well, such as the calf muscles. Those can get tight and limit the ankle range of motion. Okay, which leads to a cascade of issues. All right, leads to knee pain, can lead to hip pain, can even lead to low back pain in some cases. All right, because it just works its way up the chain if we have restrictions in our ankle mobility. And again, we're going to do a test to figure out where you guys are at with that. Okay, so I hear a lot of times when I have patients come in and during the initial evaluation, I ask them about past medical history. Any other injuries, and everybody forgets about the ankle sprains. They never mention it, and they just it's always an afterthought. It's an injury that most people just kind of brush off and don't really consider or think it's that big of a deal. But for people that have knee pain or hip pain, it's a huge deal because it changes. When we have limited ankle range motion, it can change our walking mechanics, definitely change our running mechanics, can change our squat pattern. And that can lead to poor squat. That poor squat pattern can lead to that knee pain, the low back pain, hip pain, and whatnot too. So it's super, super important to have that adequate ankle range of motion. Okay? So if you have recurring ankle sprains, especially on one side, I would bet 9 times out of 10, you're going to be a little bit more restricted in your ankle range motion on that side. Right? Actually, one of the main things for treatment when we see patients that come in for knee pain is actually addressing any ankle mobility restrictions. Okay, again, because that's changing their running mechanics and squat mechanics. Okay, so a lot of times, you guys take one thing away from it. This workshop is to know that a lot of times where you're having the pain isn't actually the source of the pain. Okay, it's occurring above or below that joint. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of a background on kind of why ankle sprains can occur and why they keep happening and whatnot too. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. As long as that all makes sense, let's move into some testing. All right. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to, if you're close to a stable surface, okay, so I'm going to use that railing there. Okay, so if you're close to a stable surface like a kitchen counter or something, go ahead and go there. And what I have you do is you're going to go ahead and still, this is going to test your balance, and it's also going to test your strength a little bit. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to stand on one leg like this. Okay, you can keep your hands on the kitchen counter or the stable surface. And then what you're going to do from there is you are going to lift your arms off or your hands off. Okay, and then from there you're going to close your eyes. Okay, we're going to hold that for 30 seconds. And if you're not unable to do this, this puts you at an increased risk for ankle sprains and also knee pain and all the sorts with that too. All right. So ideally 30 seconds. Okay, and that's a good way. I also want you guys, once you're done there, I want you to switch and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so it's also a good test to figure out and to monitor your progress with how stable your ankle is as you go through rehab or as you go through strengthening exercise that we're going to kind of go over. All right, one of the best exercises to actually improve balance and foot strength is single leg stance, closing your eyes, other balance exercises. Okay, it helps strengthen that foot up and it prevents those ankle sprains. Okay, all right. So I want you guys to also make a note on, was one side easier than the other? Okay, a lot of times people find that one side's easier than the other, and I would bet that again, probably 9 out of 10 times that the side that you have recurrent ankle sprains on is the same side that you're having difficulty with balance. Okay, usually there's a pretty high correlation there. All right, so that's a good way to test where you're at. Ideally, you want to be 30 seconds or more. If you're not, that puts you at increased risk for ankle sprains, and it also tells me that your foot strength isn't quite where it needs to be, and the proprioception can be off as well. Okay, the reason that closing, you guys probably noticed a big difference between when you stand on one leg with your eyes open and with your eyes closed, and that's because our brain uses 3 senses to for stability. Proprioception, again, is knowing where that ankle's at in space. Then we also have eyesight. Okay, we use our eyesight to tell where we're at, okay, and provide that balance. And then we have third is in our inner ear we have like these crystals, and it tells us where our head positioning's at, our body positioning's at. So when you take one of those away, the other 2 systems have to pick up the slack. All right. So now there's increased reliance on proprioception and the inner ear. Okay. So hopefully that kind of makes sense, guys. All right. Were you guys limited there? You guys do okay? Let me know how that went. And then we're going to also move on to ankle mobility. Okay, so you guys can know if and how much damage has been done to the ankle with regards to mobility restrictions. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that wall. All right. Those that came to the squat workshop, this is going to be one of the similar tests that we did, okay, to determine where the restrictions are when we do a squat. Okay, because again, ankle mobility plays a huge factor into squats. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your toe, foot, bring it up all the way to the wall, and from there you're going to try and take your knee, drive it to the wall, and then you're going to go inch by inch back until you run out of room. Okay, that heel shouldn't be coming up. Once you start seeing that heel come up, tells me that we are getting out of range of motion of that ankle. I'm not going to tell you guys what the norms are yet. Okay, that's what my restriction is, because I want you guys to cheat. I'll tell you, and then I want you guys to do both sides. Okay, so do the left and the right. And again, the knee should be going directly over the toes. Just go inch by inch. Make sure that heel's not coming off. Okay, so that's about my restriction right there. All right, so the norms with that, hope you guys are done. Ideally, for just what the research shows is for just normal walking pattern, we need to have ideally 3 inches away from that wall. If we don't have 3 inches away from that wall, our walking pattern is going to change. Okay? And this can lead to asymmetries and imbalances as well. Okay? Ideally for squats and for people that run quite a bit, we want ideally 4 to 5 inches. Okay? It's super important to have that. Okay? So that's another awesome way to be able to monitor your progress as you go along. Yes, they're tests, but they're also, a great way to monitor, how's progress going with ankle mobility and then also ankle stability. Okay? And again, the ankle joint just gets tight, okay, after an ankle sprain. Because a lot of times when we have an ankle sprain, we don't walk on it for a while, for a couple days. And then even when we do, there's a lot of swelling that's in that joint, so we can't move it how we normally would want to. And so even in just a few days of not moving it, there can be tissue tightness that is established. Okay? And if you don't directly address that right after an ankle sprain, that tissue starts to become tight until you start addressing it. Okay? And so it's super important to make sure to do that after an ankle sprain. Okay? Usually it's like calf stretching and some joint mobilizations and some balance exercises that are great for that. Okay? So hopefully that all makes sense, guys. Any questions on the test at all? And then we're going to get into some treatment and some also injury prevention as well. Right. Let's see, any questions? Okay, awesome. All right. So we're going to do an activity. It's test as well as treatment, and looks kind of funny, but it's important. Okay. So I want you guys to do, if you guys are wearing shoes, go and slip your shoes off. We're going to talk about foot coordination and foot strength. All right. So what I want you guys to do, you guys can also slip your shoes off as well. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this or not. That's the problem. Let's see here. There we go. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is you are going to try and I want you to get your foot flat. I want you to take your big toe, push it down into the floor, and simultaneously try and lift these other 4 toes up. Okay? And then relax. Push the big toe down, lift the other 4 toes up. And you should feel that bottom of that foot kind of contract. Okay? So we're strengthening up the inner foot muscles with it, strengthening up the arch. Okay? So people that have flat feet, it can actually be corrected most of the time, and it's by strengthening up that arch. Okay? So again, pushing the big toe down, lifting the other 4 toes up, and then relaxing. Push down, lift the other 4 toes up, and relax. Okay, ideally, you do 15 reps of this. Some of you guys may have a hard time coordinating this. Okay? A lot of times these muscles get turned off after an ankle sprain, and if we wear really, really supportive shoes, these muscles can turn off as well and become lazy, and this can lead to a cascade of issues up the chain. Okay? And can cause knee pain and whatnot too. Okay? So if you have a hard time doing this, you just need to practice this. Okay? It will come back pretty quickly. All right? Just, yeah, takes repetitions, right? If you have a hard time lifting, keeping that big toe down while you lift the other 4 toes up, so you can actually just hold down that big toe and do that same motion, okay? And then slowly wean yourself off of having to need to use your hands to provide that, okay? Now what we're gonna do is the opposite. Now we wanna lift the big toe, push the little 4 toes down. Okay, if you have a hard time doing this, okay, it's also a test to determine what your foot strength is and your coordination. So you know if you have a hard time doing this when you concentrate, you know darn well that this isn't happening. When you are just walking about or running or strength training or anything like that, okay, which leads to issues. Yeah. All right. Any questions on that, guys? Okay, so that's a great way to start off with improving your ankle or your foot strength. And if we do that, then it makes your foot more stable and decreases the ankle strength. All right, another thing that is that I lose you guys. It's kind of like freezing a little bit on me here. Move back here, close to the router. Let me see here. See what's going on. I'm gonna pull it up on the Facebook page to see if I can see myself here. It looks like I'm still on. Might just be breaking up a little bit. All right. Okay, I think we're good. All right, Kelly comments. I didn't know that flat feet could be corrected. Yeah, a lot of people don't, Kelly. Yeah, it's most of the time it's correctable. What I do is I have a patient lay flat on their back, and then I take a look at their arches. And if there's an arch there, okay, if they have an arch there, okay, it tells me that the skeletal system's in place for them to be able to achieve arch, okay, and correct the flat feet. If I have them, once I have them stand up, and I notice that that foot collapses in, okay, that tells me, yeah, it's corrected. It just tells me that once the body weight's on that foot, that the muscles just aren't strong enough to support it, okay? And so by strengthening up the muscles in the feet, now it can provide support for that skeletal system. However, if I lay somebody flat on a mat on their back and they already have a flat foot, okay, that tells me that the skeletal system isn't where it needs to be. Okay, and a lot of times that's a little bit harder to correct. However, by strengthening up the feet, it can still be beneficial and provide pain relief. Okay, and this is flat feet are also responsible for bunions, right, or hammer toes. Okay, and so strengthening up the foot is beneficial for that. But yeah, flat feet are totally correctable. And actually, if you wear inserts, it actually makes your feet even lazier. It's like a brace, you know. When you have a brace, your muscles don't have to work to provide support anymore, so those weak muscles get even weaker. So I'm against inserts for the most part, unless somebody's just having excruciating pain that they can't walk without them in. That's fine, then they can wear it, but we want to start weaning them off of that and start strengthening up the foot so they're not relying on that. Okay? But yeah, hopefully that all makes sense. All right, and then another prevention and treatment that you guys can do is that single leg balance. Just always make sure you have some, like a kitchen counter or something to hang on to, and you don't want you falling, working on your balance, right? So that's a great way to also strengthen things up as well. And then I'm also going to go over last two exercises we're going to go over is how to work on your ankle mobility. All right, so you can start restoring that, especially if you have those reoccurring ankle sprains, probably getting tight. All right, so we have two calf muscles called the gastroc and the soleus. Okay, one attaches above the knee, one attaches below. So we can manipulate which one we're stretching, whether that knee is bent or straight, All right, so you're gonna do is you're gonna come up against the wall. Doesn't matter what this front leg's doing. Keep that back leg straight, keep that heel down, and push into the wall. You should feel a nice stretch throughout this calf muscle, kind of in the upper portion. Okay, ideally we'd hold for about 30 seconds. All right, and then you switch, do the same thing on the other side. Just for time purposes today, I'm not going to do both sides, or sorry, do the full 30 seconds. All right, and again, should be feeling it a little bit higher in the calf. Then you're going to switch back to the other side, and now we're going to go after the other calf muscle. That's the soleus. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to keep your foot in alignment. A lot of times I see a lot of people point their toe out like this. Don't do that. You're not going to be stretching the right muscle, okay, or you might not even feel a stretch at all. All right, so what you're going to do is, again, keep your heel down, okay, back leg straight to start, and then you're going to slowly drive that knee down. You should feel a stretch a little bit lower in the calf. Okay, that's going after that soleus. Okay, a lot of times people or patients come in and they're like, yeah, I'm stretching my calves every day and my ankle mobility isn't improving. And that reason, and I show them like, well, I ask them like, show me how you're stretching. And most of the time, everybody's just keeping their legs straight, all right? But they don't ever bend the knee like this and try and get that stretch. So that tells me they're only stretching one of the calf muscles, 50%, all right? So it's super important to make sure you're doing both with those, okay? So those are two exercises to help with that mobility. We have the balance exercise and then the foot strengthening stuff. Okay, we're addressing. We talked about how the three main negative side effects or causes of ankle sprains, and it's poor proprioception, which we're correcting with the balance. Two, the other issue is when we have impaired strength in our foot. We're working on it with the exercise I showed you with the big toe down, little four toes up, and vice versa. And then also, side effect of ankle sprains is, or recurrent ankle sprains, is tightness in the ankles and the calf muscles, which leads to issues up the chain. That can be corrected with the stretches I gave you. Okay, so we're addressing all three components with those. All right, and again, these should not be painful. Okay, should be all pain-free. All right, any questions on that at all, guys? No? Okay, awesome. Awesome. All right, so these will get you guys started. All right, these are good baseline level things. Sometimes you'll need, for people that, don't only sprain their ankles every so often, less than one time a year, one or less times a year. This should help quite a bit substantially and may even fix the issue. But if you guys are having more serious ankle sprains or reoccurring ankle sprains, more than twice a year, you're most likely going to need a little bit more. Okay, these exercises are good, but there's different levels to exercises. Okay, these are a good baseline, establish a good foundation, and you may just need a little bit more dosage. Okay, for the prescription. Okay. Kelly asked, does the soleus attach below the knee? Yes, Kelly, it does. So the soleus attaches below the knee, the gastroc attaches above the knee. Okay, so by bending the knee, we can manipulate which one we're stretching, whether it's the gastroc or the soleus. Okay, so let me move out of the sun here. So when we keep the leg straight, yeah, we're stretching the gastroc. When we have it bent, we're stretching the soleus. Okay, good question. All right, any other questions at all, guys? Okay, the good news is all this is 100% correctable. Ankle sprains are super, super common, so I don't want you guys feeling like you're all alone or weird or anything. It happens to everybody. It's actually something I used to deal with. I used to play a lot of basketball in high school, and I had tons of ankle sprains. This is no exaggeration. I probably had, probably 10 ankle sprains on each side, so 20 ankle sprains total in like a 3 or 4 year period. I didn't know what to do about it. I hadn't gone through PT school or anything like that. I kind of just dealt with it. It impacted my performance and kept me out a lot of games because of it. And I wish I would have known some of this knowledge before and actually got the treatment so I didn't have to, have to keep dealing with this because it's totally fixable. I still play tons of basketball to this day. I never get ankle sprains. So now I know what to do about it, right? And how to fix it. So once you guys know it is fixable, you just need the right guidance, okay? All right, so let me know how those go, and then if you have questions or anything, you can message me here on Facebook, or you can find us on our website as well. And if you guys want a little bit more guidance or help, I'm going to drop a link where you guys can talk to a PT, and you can hop on a phone call with me, and I can help guide you, and we can figure out, is this something that's easily fixable? Is it something that can be fixed over the phone? I can kind of give you a little bit more guidance with other exercises that might be beneficial, or is a little bit more sinister, needing more attention, and then we can come in for an evaluation or something if need be. But yeah, I hope you guys found it beneficial, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your